Here's how I found a six-figure mentor for my own agency when I started, and here's how you can do the exact same. So when I first started as a beginner, I had absolutely nothing. I had no money, but more importantly, I had no idea or the knowledge on what I need to do. Luckily, I was a little bit smart, and I knew that this was a weakness in my own skill set, and I decided very quickly that I needed a mentor, somebody who I could understudy, and they would teach me their ways of business and whatever they have, push me past my limits, and just super speed my growth. But I couldn't find anyone. Right? Why would someone pick me, just this random kid, out of absolutely everyone? It's not like I knew them or had any special traits. For a little while, this demotivated me a lot. Right? I thought people who had mentors were these lucky, privileged people, and I was the unlucky person that got thrown to the side of the street in the dumps. And that belief I had was shattered only a few days after it was actually formed, because my dying attempt to start my agency and just really make it in the marketing world, I decided to go on YouTube and send a message to every single SMMA person I could find on YouTube. They were stiff videos, and no matter how many retakes I did, there was still like shudders, pauses, whatever it might be, and my monotone voice had absolutely no emotion in it. I waited 24 hours, and even though most people didn't reply, or most people I messaged just didn't respond, didn't do anything to me at all, a few replied. And this changed my whole worldview and shattered that belief in half. The person who I saw as this unreachable authority that is out of this world, this amazing person, had come into one-on-one contact with me, a 15-year-old who's from this small, place in Canada. And by the time this had happened, I knew I was onto something, because I started messaging more and more people, started responding to more and more of their posts, and I did everything that I could to get in contact with more people. And it worked, and I got a bunch of replies. But the big problem with that is that I had a bunch of conversations going, but I was screwed because I was so nervous to continue these conversations after I had gotten the initial reply from these people. And that's when I need to figure out something, right? During this absolute dry spell where I wanted to, teach these people, I figured out a way to extract mutual value from these conversations and build these relationships with these high-level people. And it's simple, it works, and you can do it right after this video. No, do not do this to me. I will know it. I will not respond to you. So don't do it. Step number one, why people get ignored. So people get ignored because they are annoying. It is harsh, but it's true, and I'm going to be the bearer of the bad news here. There's no incentive to these authority figures that you're messaging to give you their hard-earned info that they went through crying nights, sleepless nights for, absolutely for free, and you shouldn't expect them to, right? It is a handout, and you don't want to be the guy that just got everything handed to them, because the second you don't get everything handed to you, you are screwed. And it can happen sometimes, but it's not a reliable strategy, and it's not something that's going to make you a respectable person. Right? If someone is giving you handouts, they see you as, this super low authority person on the hierarchy, that they are doing, charity work helping. And, you don't want to be the guy that's getting charity work, especially if you're trying to develop relationships and do business with these people. And that's why I need to cultivate these relationships. So it's done through two things, right? Ease and relatability. So you can execute on these two things. You can find yourself a mentor, and it's going to be very easy for you. Step number two is going to be opening the conversation. So we don't need to use any tactics or make an ask of this person to initiate the conversation. Here's the simple framework behind doing this. So you're going to compliment and ask them a question and do a personal relation. So an example of this could be, hey, my name's Alex. I think that G-Wagon you've got is really nice. My dream one day is to own a G-Wagon. Boom, put that on their story. And after doing this, we'll initiate a conversation with a future mentor. Comment on a few posts, just like outreach, you will get a response. It may seem surreal when it happens, but it's only the tip of the iceberg. And remember that these people are, warm-blooded human beings on the other side of a phone somewhere in the world. So they're not these amazing special people, even if, you might see them that way. So now it's time to gain likability. This is the hardest part of the process, because it is the make or break with your potential mentor, but it's also the part that yields one of the highest returns. We do this by telling our story, right? And I'll freestyle the rest of this video just to be absolutely transparent, absolutely honest with you guys. I want to give you the utmost of just organic, raw, authentic content. So the freestyle and how we're going to tell our story with people, it really relies on, just being able to condense everything that we've been through in our lives into these short and easy steps. So the way that I would go about doing this is I'd look at all the things that you've done in your life. So, key events, things that changed, the way you perceive the world, all this stuff. And I want you to write it all down. Right? Once you've written it all down, I've gone over this in other videos. I just want you to craft a story. It doesn't matter how good or how bad it is, because it's not about the contents of your story. You could be a privileged kid who got everything in the world that they ever wanted growing up, and you could still craft a story about how that always made you feel like you had to have a chip on your shoulder, that something was different from you, and that you had been suffering from the success. Right? It doesn't matter what the actual life event you have is, it's the delivery of it. right? And you want to practice the delivery. I want you to go over the delivery again and again and again and again and again. Because what we're going to do after we've initiated the conversation, we've gotten these replies from these people, it's just like our outreach. We're going to pick up the phone and we're going to send a video message to these people telling our entire story. But this time at the end, we're not going to make an ask of them to get on a call or do anything like that. We're just going to leave it as a straight up compliment to them. And what you want to do in this phase, and if it's truly someone that you looked up to and you want to be your mentor, I want you to go through everything you know about them, watch their old videos, watch everything they have so that you can, look to and respond and, talk on these points that they might have talked about in these old videos and hold dear to them, but no one really addresses. Like, for an example, if you go to some of my starter videos, I had a person talk to me about an analogy that I gave about islands. And it's the worst video I've ever made. Lowest views. I don't even think it got 100 views. And someone, messaged me about that, and I was responding because I was like, oh, this person has invested the time to learn about me, so I want to give them my time back. It's reciprocal. So that's what you want to contain in your video message. After you've sent them this video message, it's time to actually translate them into being your mentor. And the best way to do that is to simply ask for advice, right? And the way I did this, so I would go to these people and I would say, hey, my name's Alex. I just want to ask you what your one piece of advice is, because I really, would love a situation where I could learn from you, mentor you, understudy, but I understand I want to prove myself first. So give me a piece of advice and I will execute ruthlessly on it. I will get to this point and I'll prove to you that I am worth spending your time on. And that's the video message I would send these people. I would send that out, and whatever advice they'd give me, I'd make sure to ruthlessly execute. I would not come back to them until I had some form of result and some form of testing that I would actually get from these people. And combining this with the theory of how to ask questions, because there's two key ways to ask a question. And past the point, sending this video message and getting the replies, you can now contact these people as someone that's slightly lower than them, right, on the hierarchical perspective, but still someone they can get into a conversation with. And the way you want to ask these questions are check one of two things, right? Number one is that, you're not being an idiot asking the question. You have data leading to the question. It's not just something theoretical. And then you've also looked at ChatGPT, all these other things. Just see if there's any way you could answer your question yourself or through another resource that's not them ahead of answering or ahead of asking. And then the number two is going to be to come with potential solutions. So whenever I ask a question to somebody, I will say, hey, John, what do you want to eat for dinner tonight? Do you want pizza, chicken, rice, or sushi? Right now, the person I've actually gone up and talked to, John, let's say, he only has to pick between these four examples. And they think, oh, I think I want pizza tonight. So he knows what I lean for. And if John's like, okay, boom, let's go pizza. Right? And when you do this to your mentors, you allow them to quickly answer your questions and quickly diagnose and understand the context behind the situation that you're asking about way, way, way more. And if you can do this, and I know there's very few people that are still watching this part of the video, but if you can do this, I promise you, you will get response and you will get good answers to quick questions that you ask these people because you've taken the time to properly ask a high quality question that's easy to answer, and you've built likability through telling your story. And that is really the basis behind asking good questions, getting free mentorship, and how I did it myself. I really hope you enjoyed, and I hope that the time that I stole from you was worth the value I provided. You guys have a great rest of your day.